Hey, speak English?
No, no, no.
Lucy is supposed to meet her boyfriend outside a restaurant in Taiwan. Richard is waiting for her with a briefcase and a desperate look on his face, begging her to deliver it to the owner of the restaurant for him. He swears it is nothing serious, just some papers inside, and that he'll pocket over $1,000 for the trouble. Lucy doesn't listen to the rest of it. She turns to walk away. Richard grabs her. He blocks her path and tries to sell the deal to her, telling her they can split the money between them. Lucy tells him if he wants to make that delivery so badly, he can do it himself. And then Richard admits that he has had some serious disagreements with the people inside the restaurant. But before she can process that, he snaps a handcuff around her wrist and locks the briefcase to her arm. The only way to get free, he tells her, is to go inside and get the key from Mr. Jen, the restaurant manager. Lucy stares at him. She calls him a coward. But with a briefcase chained to her body, there isn't much she can do except walk through those doors. The receptionist asks for her name before she can go any further. Lucy gives it her real name and is told to wait for the boss to come downstairs. She stands there watching the room when she notices a group of men moving toward her in a creepy way. She turns back toward the entrance and watches Richard get shot dead on the street outside. The restaurant staff don't scream or run. The receptionist quietly hands money to the criminals, then slips behind the counter. The men close in around Lucy and march her up to the roof, and every single person they pass in that building looks the other way. They bring her to an apartment. She walks in and finds a body, an innocent person just lying there. She feels physically sick. The men shove her toward a large table and hand her a handkerchief. And then Mr. Jen walks in. He is covered in blood, not his own. He moves to the sink and washes his hands, and then he turns and orders his men to put Lucy on the table. She can't understand what they are saying. The language is completely foreign to her. So Mr. Jen calls in a translator. Through him, Lucy does her best to explain. She doesn't know what is in the briefcase, and it is a misunderstanding. The mobster isn't interested in her explanation. He wants to know what is in the case. Lucy tells him the truth that Richard never told her anything. So Mr. Jen hands her a piece of paper with the combination and goes outside while his security guards arrange themselves in a tight formation with shields raised. Lucy asks why they are doing that. The translator explains flatly that his boss doesn't trust Richard. He is simply taking precautions. The rest of the men crowd her, pushing her to open the case. Mr. Jen is shouting at her to hurry up. She enters the combination and opens it. Inside are packages and plastic bags filled with a strange blue substance. Once Mr. Jen decides the delivery is clean, he comes back inside and cracks the packages open. Then he calls for one of the prisoners to be brought in, a man who is forced to take the compound right in front of her. The moment those blue crystals hit his bloodstream, he bends in pain. And then, seconds later, he starts laughing loudly. The crime boss shoots him mid-laugh and turns to Lucy with a business proposition. He wants to offer her a job. Lucy, still shaking, tells him she wants nothing to do with any of this. A guard hits her in the face, making her black out. She comes to in an unfamiliar room with a large bandage wrapped tightly around her stomach. The criminals are already there, escorting her to Mr. Jen's office. The translator is waiting. While she was unconscious, they opened her up and placed packages of a drug called CPH4 inside her body. She is going to carry it across a border for them. She isn't alone in this. Other prisoners are being prepared in exactly the same way. They will each be given a passport to get through airport security without drawing attention. And once the deliveries are done, they will be free to go. The prisoners are sent on their way. Lucy is taken to one of the gang's hideouts, where she is brought into a room so the packages can be surgically removed and redistributed. The man handling the procedure decides almost immediately to start taunting her. Lucy tells him not to touch her. He comes at her, hitting her repeatedly, until his accomplice finally drags him out of the room, but the beating has already done something. The package inside her has split open. A wave of CPH4 crystals floods directly into her bloodstream all at once, far more than her body is ever meant to absorb. She collapses to the floor, shaking, and then something impossible happens. She starts to rise. Her body lifts off the ground and floats upward until she is pressed against the ceiling, and she claws at the walls in a panic, trying to pull herself back down, and blacks out. Then she wakes up and everything is different. She waits for a guard to come into her cell, knocks him out the moment he steps through the door, grabs his gun, and moves. She tears through the building and comes out through what turns out to be a restaurant, where she runs straight into the man who beat her hours earlier. She takes out everyone in the room, sits down at one of the tables, and eats the food that has been left there. Completely composed, like a different person entirely, outside she finds two taxi drivers and asks if either of them speaks her language. When they both say no, she shoots one and tells the other to take her to the hospital. He drives without a word of argument. She walks straight into the operating room. When she gets there, the surgeon tells her she can't be in there. She ignores him and studies the brain scans on the wall. With abilities she is only beginning to understand, she processes the images in seconds and determines that the patient on the table is already beyond saving. His cancer has spread too far. She shoots the patient, then turns to the surgeon and tells him to remove the remaining packages from her stomach. He complies. While he works, she calls her mother. She tells her that something has shifted in her mind, that she can feel the weight of everything that has ever happened in her life all at the same time, and that she misses her more than she can say. When she hangs up and the surgery is over, the doctor looks at the crystals sitting on the tray and asks what they are. Lucy tells him. He is shocked. CPH4, he says, is something produced naturally by pregnant women during their 6th week. For a growing baby, even a trace amount carries the power of an atomic bomb. It is the very thing responsible for building every bone in the human body. The fact that Lucy has absorbed a massive quantity of it and is still breathing is impossible. Lucy already knows she is running out of time. She leaves. The world outside looks different now. She can see the molecular composition of the plants as she passes them. She goes straight to Mr. Jen's building, moves through the corridors without making a sound, and leaves a trail of unconscious guards behind her. She finds the crime boss in his office, sends the tattoo artist away, and drives 2 knives through Mr. Jen's hands, pinning him to the spot. Before she walks out, she uses her new abilities to read his memories and pulls from them the exact locations where every other prisoner has been sent to deliver the crystals. She leaves him there, screaming, hands nailed to the surface. She shows up at her friend Caroline's door. While Caroline showers, Lucy uses the computer. She finds Professor Norman, a researcher who has dedicated his life to understanding the unused potential of the human brain, and she reaches him by hacking directly into the television set in his hotel room. When his face appears on screen, she tells him everything. Her brain is currently operating at 28% capacity. She has abilities that have no rational explanation, and she is going to die. Probably sooner than later. Norman is at a loss for words. His entire career has been built on theories he never expected to see proven, and here she is. She then demonstrates by remotely seizing control of every device and appliance in his hotel room and tells him plainly that she can no longer feel pain or fear or anything that she recognizes as a human emotion. Norman tells her quietly that the only meaningful thing she can do with all of this is pass it on. No other human being will ever reach the level she has reached. The knowledge she is carrying will be lost the moment she is gone. Lucy understands. She promises to download everything into a computer and find a way for him to access it. They agree to meet at his hotel in 12 hours. Before she leaves Caroline's, she prints out a medical prescription and leaves it for her friend. She has noticed that Caroline's body is suffering from her diet. Then she alters her appearance. Her face has been all over the news since the attack at the hospital. She finds a payphone and calls Pierre, a police detective. Using what she can now do with her mind, she feeds him precise information about every prisoner still carrying CPH4 across borders. Pierre is disturbed. The woman on the other end of the line seems to know exactly where he is standing and what is on his desk, but he writes everything down and moves on it. The police work fast, and within hours, Almost all of the transporters have been taken into custody. Lucy boards a flight to Paris. Somewhere over the ocean, she reaches into the minds of two laptop users sitting nearby and begins absorbing millions of pieces of data simultaneously. Her brain hits 40%, and her body immediately starts to protest. Her teeth begin to come loose. Her skin at the edges starts dissolving, breaking apart into the air like she is slowly ceasing to exist. She shoves her way to the bathroom, locks the door, and watches her own face come apart in the mirror. Frantic, she swallows more CPH4 crystals, hoping to hold herself together. Instead, her entire body dematerializes at the molecular level. At the police station in Paris, Pierre finds Lucy's personal belongings delivered to his desk, and then, in a room down the hallway, Lucy reappears, lying on a stretcher alive. Brain now at 50%, the doctor who finds her runs to alert the police. Pierre comes in with officers and orders her to stay still and put her hands up. Lucy looks at them all and, with one small movement, knocks every single person in the room unconscious. Pierre is left standing, shocked and unarmed. Lucy tells him where the packages are being held, says she will be taking them because they are safer with her, then pushes him into the passenger seat of a car and drives toward the airport. She has tracked Mr. Gen through a phone call. He is not leaving France. Mr. Gen's men, meanwhile, have raided the city hospital where the surviving prisoners are being treated. They kill the staff and take everyone back. Lucy is threading through Paris traffic with the kind of inhuman precision that makes Pierre grip the door handle. At Gen's extraction site, the criminals have started cutting the CPH4 packages out of the prisoners. Lucy spots police cars gaining on them. Pierre offers to call off the chase. She says it isn't necessary, then uses her abilities to lower the security barriers in the road just long enough for their car to pass, then raises them again. Every pursuing vehicle smashes into the barriers and each other in a single chaotic collision. At the hospital, an officer comes back to check on the detained criminals and walks into an ambush. He manages to take down several of them before he is shot. The other doctors run. A prisoner makes a desperate break for the exit and is killed. And then Lucy walks in. The gang leader snatches the remaining CPH4 packages and makes for the door. Ordering his men to deal with her, Lucy feels her capacity click to 60%. She raises an invisible wall, and the leader stops dead. Unable to move forward, she then yanks every weapon in the room straight up to the ceiling with a single gesture. The mobster screams at his men to rush her. Lucy walks toward them, one by one. The henchmen lift off the ground around her. She pulls the briefcase from the paralyzed boss's grip, takes the last package from one of the prisoners, and turns to Pierre. He tells her honestly that he isn't sure he will be much use to her in all of this. She kisses him. He decides he is in. They go to the university where Norman has gathered his most trusted colleagues to study her case. The moment Lucy steps inside, she senses the mobsters outside. She asks Pierre to hold the room and begins explaining to the professors what she now understands about the world. But the army is already in the building. Mr. Gen has come in force. Pierre runs back to warn her. Lucy hands the CPH4 packets to the researchers. Norman hesitates. Absorbing that much knowledge all at once could break her mind. She tells him it won't, and she promises to transfer everything onto a computer first so nothing will be lost. He trusts her and gives the order. Outside, Pierre and the officers engage Gen's army in combat. Pierre is hit and falls back to cover. Inside, Lucy's capacity hits 70% and her body stops being a body. She transforms into something dark and shapeless, an organic matter, swallowing everything it touches. A strange, formless computer structure begins materializing around the professors. Norman stands there with his mouth open, watching her rewrite the physical world. Mr. Gen orders his assistant to fire a missile launcher directly into the room. The officers dive for cover. The missile screams through the air and Lucy is gone before it arrives. At 90% capacity, she is moving faster than any of them, teleporting across continents in an instant. And then she goes further back. She moves through time itself, sliding through different eras, watching history unfold around her. She lands somewhere deep in the past, face to face with the earliest human woman who has ever walked the earth. They reach out and touch their fingers, and in that single contact, the entire universe opens up to her. billions of years of existence. Back in the lab, as Lucy approaches 99%, Mr. Jen forces his way into the room with a gun. This ends tonight, but before he can fire, Lucy hits 100% and vanishes. Jen spins around furious and aims at the professors. Pierre steps through the door and shoots him. Seconds later, a flash drive slides out of the computer Lucy has constructed. Norman picks it up carefully. Pierre looks around at the empty space where she had been and asks where she is. His phone buzzes, a message from Lucy. She tells him she is everywhere now. Lucy sends her final message to all of them. Life, she says, was given to them billions of years ago. And now, finally, they know what to do with it.